Alright, how's it going, guys? Today we're going to be talking about why is Jack Hughes still ranked ahead of Kaapo Kakko heading into the 2019 NHL draft. So honestly, this has become a very, controversial and polarizing topic, because on one hand we have people saying, it is obvious that Kaapo Kakko is the better player at the moment. Where on the other hand we have people saying, Jack Hughes has potential. He's going to be that better player in 2 to 3 years from now. So I guess let's just get into it. And before I start this video, I do want to mention one thing. There's a common theme where people are saying, Jack Hughes is only going to go #1 because he's American. Now, I don't completely disagree with you from a consumer standpoint, whereas I, being in Canada and North America, I see Jack Hughes a lot more. Now keep in mind, guys, scouts aren't just watching Jack Hughes because he's American. NHL teams have dedicated scouting departments depending on the area of the prospect. So for example, the New Jersey Devils, obviously they have a dedicated scouting department who are watching the USDP, watching Jack Hughes every time he plays hockey. Whereas on the other hand, they also have a scouting department dedicated to watching, Liga dedicated to watching every single time Kaapo Kakko plays hockey. So the argument that, New Jersey Devils are only going to choose Jack just because they see him more because he's American is not really an argument. They are scouting Kaapo Kakko just as much as they're scouting Hughes. However, I will acknowledge that obviously GMs do have biases, so keep that in mind. Anyways, let's get straight into this video and kind of acknowledge the #1 thing that separates Kakko and Hughes, and that is physical maturity. So what is physical maturity? Well, when we take a look at Kaapo Kakko, he's coming in at around 6'2", 190 pounds, whereas Jack Hughes, on the other hand, is coming in at about 5'10", 170 pounds. So obviously there is a big difference in terms of physical maturity. And because of that, it is obvious why, Kaapo Kakko adjusts to playing against men better than Jack Hughes. He's just a stronger person. However, keep one thing in mind, guys. Just because you're stronger does not mean that you're the better player. We're in the era of hockey where small players like, Gaudreau, DeBrincat, Patrick Kane, they're able to just dominate games based on skill. Now, I'm not saying Jack Hughes is the better player. However, what I am saying is that Jack Hughes and Kaapo Kakko are just two very different players. Jack Hughes is more reliant on his skill, his skating ability, his offensive awareness, his agility. Whereas Kaapo Kakko is more of that power forward winger who has a lot of strength. He's able to power his way through guys. He has good puck control, good skating, and is overall just a really good combination that makes up a good two-way forward. And so honestly, I've been looking into this topic pretty extensively recently because, a lot of this has to do with physical maturity and potential. Those are the two themes that really, create this controversy. So looking back through past drafts, I found a very similar case. And that was in 2013 when Nathan MacKinnon was drafted. So obviously MacKinnon went #1, and who went #2? Alexander Barkov. So in Barkov's year, he was almost point per game. He actually had better point production than Kakko. He had a really good World Juniors and just looked like a very excellent two-way centerman. On the other hand, we had MacKinnon. MacKinnon was more reliant on his skill, he was more reliant on his speed, his hands, very similar to a Jack Hughes. Now, Nathan MacKinnon was playing in the QMJHL, a league that's considered on the lower end of the CHL. MacKinnon also only had 1 single point in the World Juniors, where I think Barkov had 7. Now fast forward into their first seasons of NHL hockey. Now keep in mind, Barkov was playing against men. He had really good point production in Liga, really good point production in the playoffs, and had a better World Juniors, whereas Nathan MacKinnon didn't. So fast forward into their first year. MacKinnon had a far better season than Barkov. Now why is that? Why is it that Barkov is used to playing against men, where MacKinnon is playing in a boys league? Why did he have better production? Well, it's not because MacKinnon was just like a hands-down better player than Barkov. No, they're just two completely different players. MacKinnon relied on his skill, whereas Barkov had a very strong two-way game. In terms of point production, MacKinnon did way better, but in terms of two-way game, of course Barkov is better in those terms. Fast forward to 2019, who is the better player? I'd actually consider Barkov to be the better player. Very strong two-way game, a very good offensive upside, very good leader for the Florida Panthers. But if you were to talk to most people, they'd still consider MacKinnon the better player. Why? It's because he has that electric offensive dynamic play, and that is exactly what Jack Hughes has. that offensive dynamic play is very scarce in the NHL. Players aren't really easily able to translate that into the NHL, whereas like Kakko, Barkov with that strong two-way game, they're able to translate that easier into the NHL. So players like, McKinnon, players like Johnny Gaudreau, players like, I guess Connor McDavid's a little bit of an exception. Those types of players are way more scarce. There's way more scarcity in those offensive dynamic players than there is in those two-way guys. And because of that, when you're building a roster, you need both. You really do need both. So honestly, guys, this really depends on what New Jersey want. Do they want that electrifying, offensive dynamo, or do they want that more complete power winger goal scorer? It really just depends on the team's needs. Now keep in mind, guys, I'm not giving my opinion on who's better. I'm just kind of highlighting facts and what the scouts are saying. And to be honest, I think Kakko is better at the moment. But again, this is one of those discussions that's not going to be solved this year. It's not going to be solved next year. This is going to be one of those debates that maybe in 5-10 years, where we kind of look back and see, who turned out to be the better player? Who provided more value for their team? But anyways, guys, that's just my thought. I've been thinking about it a lot. I've been, extensively looking into this topic. I found it pretty fascinating. And I guess that's one other thing I'll mention is scouts are saying Jack Hughes has the higher offensive awareness ceiling, whereas Kaapo Kakko has both offensive awareness and defensive awareness, which makes him that great two-way player. But anyways, guys, that's just my thoughts. Definitely let me know down below, as I know you will. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I appreciate the support so much. I'm just still having a blast, making these videos. Thank you guys so much. See you guys later.